Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. My name is Andrew and this is Shawn, and we're going to be talking about the MX9. So here in front of us today, we have our MX9 mixer. My name is Andrew, like I said. This is my buddy and colleague, Shawn. He's our product line manager, so he develops and brings on a lot of our products. Shawn, this is a beautiful piece of equipment. The first thing I noticed is there's a lot of buttons, a lot of knobs, faders, etc. So would you say this is a complicated piece of equipment, or is it pretty user-friendly?
Yeah, I think your answer is yes. It can be complicated.
Okay.
It definitely could be, but it also can be fairly straightforward. In the design of this, we've kind of done some things to try and make it as simple as possible. And part of that is color coding. So if you'll notice, there's a whole bunch of red on here. Any of the stuff that's red has to do with volume, just to try and make it really easily identifiable. So when you're setting on your gain structure, you look at these knobs on the top. Those are red knobs. That's going to kind of be where you start. That's your gain knob. Okay, so that's where you're going to start setting your volumes. And then you're going to go to the fader, right? So your fader down here is going to correlate with that channel. So it's red fader, red knob, you've got your volume taken care of. Okay, this black one here is going to be your pan. So depending on the scenario that you're setting up for, if you're using this in a live situation, so you have a band, you've got a bunch of different instruments on stage, you want to send the keyboard this way, you want to send an electric guitar to the other side of the stage in stereo, this mixer is capable of doing that. So you would just adjust your pan to send whatever instrument you want to whatever direction, what side of the stage. You have these three knobs here that are all gray. So all the gray ones, that has to do with your 3-band EQ. So each one of those is an individual adjustment. So you can, if you like it a little bit brighter and sharper on the crisp high end, you can give that a little bit of a boost. If you want to kind of scoop out some of that mid, you can do that. You can even give it a little boost on your low end or cut that if you need to, depending on the individual piece of equipment.
Makes sense. And the color coordination definitely makes it a lot easier for our users to use this piece of equipment going forward. So aside from all of the knobs that you just touched on, which is in like this main section, I see there's a couple more on this side where there's a screen and some other buttons and knobs that you can mess with. So can you kind of touch on those for us?
Absolutely. So kind of continuing down the row, we talked about those gray knobs. You look at the blue, there's a couple blue ones over there too. So that has to do with an auxiliary, right? So what you can do with that is you can actually send this out to another auxiliary channel. So if you wanted to use a monitor setup, you can use that. So I want to have musicians who want to hear themselves, or I need a little more of that vocalist in my monitor. You can actually bump or lower all of that and raise that and lower that level in that auxiliary channel.
Got it.
So you can control that there. Then you also look down here on the white knobs that are on the bottom of every one. That has to do with the effects. So the unit has 24 built-in effects, okay? Those are selected here through this black knob, okay? And you go through, you'll dial it in and twist, and then you press it to click it. All the effects are listed out here. So we've got reverb to a flanger to a delay to a hall. So there's a lot of different settings you can have on there. You can use one at a time, so you may not use any. That's okay too. And that is going to be dictated down here on these white knobs. Okay, so if you don't want any, you just turn that parameter way down, the effect volume way down. So there's a lot more detail in there as far as parameter is how much of the effect gets put on. Volume is how much volume, how much amplitude you're putting onto that effect. And then you can adjust that on every individual channel as well.
Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. And I see that there's a media player, Bluetooth capabilities.
It does, yes. It has Bluetooth capabilities. You can also use a USB. So if you've got music on a USB, the band's taking a break, you've got something pre-recorded that you want, you can put that in there. It actually has a recording feature on there. So if you have something that you're you want to record the band or a speech or something, you can definitely do that here.
I see that there's also a dual RCA here on the back that our viewers can't necessarily see here, but I'm assuming those are inputs. Can I use both of those at the same time?
Yes, you can. So I'll kind of talk about that a little bit. So right here, this is for a tape. The idea of that is that you're not actually having to go around to the back of the unit to plug your device in. So you have that here. That's it says tape. Again, your red knob down on the front that says tape correlates with that input.
Okay.
Now there is another input on the back with dual RCAs.
Okay.
that also is labeled tape. So you've got this one on the front, same input on the back. Both of those can be used simultaneously. Channel 8 and 9, it also has dual RCAs on the back too. So if you had another device, a computer or something that you wanted to have set up more permanently, you can plug that in, leave that plugged in, and always have that going to a dedicated channel as it is.
What I'd like to do is do like a run through of a typical setup. So I have let's say I have a football field, and I choose this mixer paired with a power amplifier. My main sources are going to be a push-to-talk microphone and a music source. Maybe I have a few microphones, but what does that setup look like as far as utilizing the inputs we just discussed so it's super user-friendly and I'm ready to go on game day?
So you have this, this is kind of your head unit. This is kind of what runs everything. It's going to go from here to your amplifier. To go from this unit to your amplifier, on the back of this unit, we've got stereo left and right TRS outputs. It also has dual left and right XLR outputs. So you have 2 sets of complete stereo outputs out of the system. Perfect. So if you have multiple amplifiers that you have to go to, you can utilize this and not have any issues of having to use a splitter. You can go straight from that. Awesome. To get your microphone connected, there are 7 XLR inputs on the back of this. Those are balanced inputs, 8 unbalanced TS inputs, but you would just take your microphone. So if you had a push-to-talk microphone like the PTT-1, you could take that, plug it into the XLR balanced input. That's going to go straight into this. You'd set your gain level. You'd set your volume accordingly on your fader. One thing I didn't mention earlier is you have a master fader. So you have all these individual faders, but you have this master fader over here. So if you're setting up and you realize I'm not getting any audio, but your levels are up, your gain is up, your amp is up, you have a master level over here. That'll help with that. But yeah, so you'd go from here into your system. You would go out from the mixer into the amplifier. From the amplifier, you would go to your speakers, so whatever the system is, whether if you're in a gym, you're going to be running up and into the rafters, or if you have an outdoor stadium, you may have speakers on your press box, you may have them on poles. You just want to make sure that you're using the appropriate weather-appropriate cabling. But it's really not that difficult, but you just want to make sure you know what you're doing. I
use this a lot for our stadiums, and our customers, users love it. And so it was only appropriate that we went over this together. If you have questions, any other questions that we didn't touch up on today, feel free to give us a call, send us an email, talk to us, and we can design a system for you. And thanks for joining us. We're signing off, but we really appreciate the view. And if you have questions, let us know. Until next time, thanks for joining us.